in terms of talent and potential, he can stack up against anyone that I've seen at United. And speaking to those who maybe were closer to the club, watching the likes of Ravel Morrison and Pogba, and even going back decades before that to the class of 92, all I hear is that he absolutely stacks up against any of them and is in that real kind of top level of talent. So it's quite a privilege just to kind of watch that week in, week out, and see a player like that develop when you know that they have the potential to do something special in the game.
Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe, that is Finn, and this is Academy Review. We are looking at Manchester United's under-18s, under-23s, recent games, going through everything that's happened. But there's loads to get through, Finn. Thank you for joining us. Academy Scoop on social media. The link is in the description. We're going to get to the match reviews, and I'm just so excited about JJ Gabriel. I know obviously you and Jay do this usually and you talk about him, but it seems as though over the last few weeks there's been, I feel like, I don't know, another level has been reached in terms of maybe not the talent, because I guess that stays the same, but in terms of the public acknowledgement and the level of excitement and just the whole kind of buzz around him seems to have gone into another stratosphere over these last few weeks, whether it's because United are playing fewer games and the first team is, people are looking for something. But this consistent, continuous output of these astonishing goals, almost every week now, he's basically on a goal a game, is absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? We'll get into that in more detail, obviously, but just quickly, do you see that as well, that he's seems to have gone on to another level in terms of public awareness?
Yeah, I think definitely fans are becoming more and more aware of what he's doing and the potential that he might have. I think people around him and the club have known about it for years now, and he's always been viewed as one of the best talents in his age group and in the country, and that's why the club made such an effort in the summer to keep him. They held emergency talks with Jason Wilcox and very senior figures at United, which isn't typical of a player of his age, so he's definitely a unique case. But I would say definitely in the last couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, he's reached a level of consistency in that output and just kind of audacity in terms of what he's attempting and what he's pulling off, that I think it would be impossible for fans not to be tuned into what he's doing and the potential that he might have. And I think early on, because he broke straight into the under-18s at 14, scored 2 goals in his first game. But I think for many fans, and myself included, it was a case of, right, well, can he continue this? Can he keep up this level? And he has just kept up that level consistently, almost as if he doesn't really have to try at under-18 level, despite being almost always the youngest player on the pitch. So certainly as the weeks have gone by, that hype has only continued to grow, and I can only see it continuing to go that way.
It's insane, isn't it? I mean, I want to talk more about him specifically, some of the things that I've noticed, and I want to see whether they're wide of the mark or whatever, and just the way people are speaking about him. But let's get into some of the games, because obviously the one that has got me talking like this specifically this week is the game against Nottingham Forest, the under-18s. Talk us through that, the score, a little bit about how the game went.
Yeah, so United were hosting Nottingham Forest in the under-18 Premier League North at Carrington on Saturday morning. Darren Fletcher's side still continuing a 100% winning rate in 2026, so they're in a great run of form in general, and like we've mentioned, JJ Gabriel is kind of at the heart of that drive for really good results. And yeah, it was a bit of a thrashing, to be honest. United were dominant from the start, from the offset. Again, early chances for JJ Gabriel, almost opened the scoring, cutting in the box onto his left foot and forcing a really good save. But it was Jay McAvoy who opened the scoring. He's a midfielder that's also kind of risen to prominence in recent weeks and months. Another one of the first-year scholars that's really come on leaps and bounds in 2026. He pressed high up the pitch, basically got between Forest's goalkeeper and centre-back, attempting to play out from the back. Really simple goal to score, but showed really good fight and eagerness to get ahead. And it was a simple first-time finish into the bottom left corner. I like a lot of what I saw from his performance and what he's done this season. He seems to be another midfielder with a lot of intelligence in terms of reading the game, gets stuck in defensively. He's combative, but also has lots of quality on the ball. And I think United are really good at producing that kind of profile of midfielder in recent years. The likes of Jace Fitzgerald, Jacob Devaney, Jim Thwaites all come to mind in kind of, they all have their differences, but have very similar strengths in terms of their intelligence and maturity in the midfield. So really liked what I saw from him, and he opened the scoring. And then it was Gabriel who just kind of stole the show. The first goal was just a ridiculous kind of solo effort. Picked up the ball kind of maybe 35 yards out, beat a defender with his first touch, cutting onto his left foot, then beat a second man. They couldn't really get near him. He's so nimble and so kind of quick with his changes of direction and body feints, and then was able to cut onto his right foot and unleash a shot, which, to be fair, was helped by a little bit of a deflection and then looped straight into the top left corner. Really, really fantastic, and basically what we've come to expect from him. And then, just before the first half whistle, he basically did the same thing, but even better, an even more polished version basically of the same goal. I've been trying to think of how I can even describe what he did to the defender.
The skill that he does.
The skill that he pulls off. It's kind of some sort of reverse step over and then quickly snaps with his right foot outwards, opening his body up, drives kind of across the side of the box, and then unleashes a ridiculous shot straight into the top right corner from outside of the box. Just the level of quality on display is ridiculous. And yeah.
I mean, that's to make it 3-0 and basically game over, isn't it?
Basically,
the two goals, for anyone who hasn't seen them, I'm sure most people have, but like you said, they're almost like the prototype and then the release version of the same goal, aren't they? The second one, the skill, the movement, the finish as well, the way he strikes it, it's not just kind of clipping it in the corner, he smacks it in the top corner. It's like it's something he's practiced a million times. I know he's someone that has been like basically sort of Project Mbappe, hasn't he? To the he's always been on the pitch, he's always been training, he's been doing these kind of drills, at home and all that. You see the videos of him from being a young kid, doing all these things. So and he looks like he's someone that just, I want to put the ball in the top corner, I'm going to do it. But there's certain things I always think with academy players, and this is from someone that doesn't watch that much academy football, but you notice it when they come into the first team, where there are different types of skills and trades and sort of like skill sets that players can have, whether it's pace, whether it's strength, whether it's kind of determination and the mental side. They read the game really well, etc., etc. Some things translate well and some things don't, but most players, or very, very few players, can just manipulate a ball and their own body around that ball the way he does. Whether it's a 25-year-old or a 15-year-old, when you see someone playing with a size 5 ball on a football pitch doing what he's doing, that doesn't need to be first team that he's playing against, because just the way his body is moving is unique and isn't like most players, even people that make it. Someone like Marcus Rashford, who had a phenomenal career at United, by the maybe not an all-time great as we thought he might be, but by contrast to most academy players, he's had one of the best careers of the last 20 years at Man United. And yet I don't think he can quite manipulate a ball in his body with the smoothness and the sort of sparkle that Gabriel does. He's got a lot of other things that Gabriel hasn't got, so I'm not saying he's better than Rashford, but some things you just see and that is a top class talent there. Whether he goes on to be Premier League level and maybe he doesn't have the pace or the strength or the consistency or whatever, but his dribbling and agility and movement and the way he reads defenders' movement is unbelievable already, isn't it? Like, you can't say that that's not good just because he's playing against 17, 18-year-olds, because just the way he addresses the ball is phenomenal. No,
you're absolutely right. What he does is really incredible, and it's very unique, the ability he has to manipulate the ball, manipulate defenders with really, really subtle movements. The skill that he used for that second goal was really out there, but he's also very good at doing the simple things, just small body feints, small subtle movements that can wrong foot a defender and create a yard of space to get a shot off. Those small details not many players at his level, his age, nor at the professional senior level are capable of doing, and that's one of the things that really sets him out. I'd say in isolation, a lot of players could technically pull off some of the things that he's doing, especially at the elite academy level. All of these players are ridiculous technicians, and if they had no pressure and no one around them, could recreate these goals with some ease. But to do it in an actual game environment, even if it's against players who are under 18 level, bear in mind he's 3 or 4 years younger than most of the other players on the pitch. It really kind of speaks volumes about the level that he's playing at. And I think when you look at kind of the all-time greats and the best players that have played the game, one of the key things that clearly sets them apart is their ability to quickly visually process what's going on around them and make a snap decision about what they're going to do and kind of visualize what they want to do ahead of it happening, just completely instinctively. A lot of players, even at the top level, you can tell they kind of have to think about what they're doing. They plan it out and they think, right, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this, and it's kind of not completely natural. Whereas the top level players have the picture of what's going to happen in their head 3 or 4 seconds before it does, and they execute it perfectly. And he kind of does that exact thing where you can tell that in his mind he already knows what he wants to do, and it's gonna happen regardless, because he has the quality to execute it and the confidence and the kind of mindset to say, look, I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to do special things with it. And maybe he can be criticised for being a little bit selfish at times, but when he's capable of executing what he does, I think you can kind of allow that.
Because he's basically got a goal a game so far for the under-18s, hasn't he? I think,
yes.
What we're on, 18 goals in 19 games or something in the league this
season? That's in the league, plus 3 assists. I think he's averaging a goal contribution around every 80 minutes in all competitions. So, yeah, considering the years that he's playing up, he's not necessarily playing the whole game every single time. The numbers that he's pulling off are just ridiculous. I
know, obviously, you and Jay have spoken about him a lot. With the consistency that he's now shown, because there's, like you said, most players at some point could do a little step over, knock the ball out, smack it in the top corner. Me or you could do that, one every 20 times or one every 50, whatever it may be. But the fact that he's basically on a goal a game, and not every goal is this, but there's been a fair few that have been very similar to this.
Yeah.
Bit of space around the edge of the box, putting it in top and bottom corners. How highly do you think he should be regarded in terms of just talent and in terms of hype? Because obviously we all know you can have X amount of talent in the academy and go on to struggle to play Football League, let alone full Manchester United. It doesn't always translate. In fact, most of the time it doesn't translate, does it? But just in terms of raw potential and, what he's actually showing right now for his age, we were talking before the show about the kind of echelons of United talent and sort of potential and hype in our lifetimes, and obviously I'm older than you are, but we were sort of saying that kind of Paul Pogba, Ravel Morrison, Mason Greenwood are kind of in those top slots for you've got to see this kid, you're not going to believe it kind of thing. And then maybe below that there's another kind of tier of some other, maybe like a Rashford or a Mainu or a Garnacho, or again, you can sort of rank them how you would like. Whereabouts is Gabriel at this stage?
Yeah, for me, he sits absolutely in that top bracket of talent with your Ravel Morrisons, your Mason Greenwoods, your Paul Pogbas, those players who, like you said, you say to your mates, you've got to watch this game because the things that this kid is doing is just kind of, you haven't seen it anywhere else. I think there are your kind of Kobbie Mainus and your Rashfords and maybe your Garnachos, players who you think this kid has a really, really good chance of making it and being, a top level player for United. And then some players you feel like it's almost impossible for them not to make it at the top level. Although anything can happen, even when you are a completely nailed on tier one, once in a lifetime talent. Injuries can happen, off the field problems can happen, which at United we're no stranger to. It's happened a lot, unfortunately, with some of our best talents. Obviously it's impossible to say because he's this talented he's going to make it at United, but he kind of has everything necessary, all of the tools that you'd hope for, the mentality as well. He doesn't get injured very much, so fingers crossed it stays that way. In terms of talent and potential, he can stack up against anyone that I've seen at United. And speaking to those who maybe were closer to the club, watching the likes of Ravel Morrison and Pogba, and even going back decades before that to the class of 92, all I hear is that he absolutely stacks up against any of them and is in that real kind of top level of talent. So it's quite a privilege just to kind of watch that week in, week out and see a player like that develop when you know that they have the potential to do something special in the game.
Crazy, isn't it? Let's get back to the game then. So we're 3-0 up going into half-time.
Yeah.
Obviously against Nottingham Forest. How did the rest of the game pan out?
Yeah, so United basically continued how they started the game, just domination really. They've been playing so well in 2026 and that's only continued under the guidance of Darren Fletcher. I think it's really good that he went back into the dugout after going into the first team role, because at the start of the season when he came into the role there was a lot of excitement. It was quite a surprise that he took that role, so he's definitely guiding them in a really good way and platforming them to dominate games like this. United added another goal through Louis Bradbury. Welsh striker, another first-year scholar who's done really well and has started to kind of rack up the goals in recent weeks. It was a great cross from Junior Brown on the right wing. He's another winger that I really like. Usually plays on the left, but was playing on the right for this game. Kind of your classic Manchester United goal, really. Crossed from the right, straight onto the head of Louis Bradbury. Bit of a bullet header past Forest's keeper, making it 4-0. The game was basically over at this point. Forest were able to pull one or two back. Unfortunately, United conceded a penalty from an attack against the run of play. Noah Ajayi just kind of overcommitted, lost his footing while trying to tackle one of Forest's attackers. They scored that through Rico Robinson from the penalty spot. And then Ajayi kind of redeemed himself. A really, really good goal. Dribbling in off the left wing, cutting in onto his right foot. JJ Gabriel was there asking for the ball, but he said, "No, I'm gonna, have the confidence to finish for his fucking hell." Sorry, my brain's not really working today.
It's all right.
Dribbling off the left wing, Ajay basically ignored JJ Gabriel's requests for the cutback, and finished into the near post with his right foot. A really, really fantastic goal, and he's another player that's really kind of come on leaps and bounds in 2026. This whole group of first-year scholars, I think it took a lot of them a while to get going, but in 2026 they've been fantastic, and he's someone that fans have really started to pick up on as well. Noah Ajayi plays in the same position naturally as JJ Gabriel on that left wing, but they profile very differently. He's had comparisons to someone like a Marcus Rashford in terms of more of a tall, athletic winger. A lot of pace, strong 1v1, but a really, really good finish on him. A lot of intelligence in terms of how he uses his body as well. So great to see him continuing to score goals. And so that was 5-1 United. And then Forest did pull another one back. Kind of a miscommunication and a cheap goal to concede, but it was too little too late for Forest, and United secured the 3 points. So they've got an 11-day break now.
Like the first team.
Yeah, exactly. Looking towards the FA Youth Cup quarter-final against Sunderland on the 18th of March at Old Trafford. Happy days for them, to be honest. They did also have a game earlier in the week against West Ham, the PL Cup semi-final.
So what is the PL Cup for people who don't know? Because you've got obviously the league, you've got the FA Youth Club, which a lot of us are sort of aware of because it's famous and United have won it a few times. What's the PL Cup?
I guess you could see it as kind of a Carabao Cup equivalent. It's basically that similar format of competition. Happens a little bit earlier in the season, so the final is usually played in March or April. So they were hosting West Ham in the semi-final at Carrington. There were some notable figures in attendance, the likes of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Stephen Torpey as well, United's academy director. I think the cynic in me thinks that Jim Ratcliffe was just there to kind of make up for his comments, to kind of put on a good look and say, hey, look, I care about the academy too. But oh well. Also, Chido Obi's younger brother, Chukwemeka Obi, was leading the line for West Ham. Just something to point out.
So I thought you were going to say for us. I was thinking I didn't know he joined us. So he was playing for West Ham when Chido was playing for Arsenal.
Yeah.
So they were in London together, presumably.
Yeah.
And what's his kind of stature like in the game in terms of reputation?
I think he's highly rated. He's not necessarily as dominant as Chido was at his age.
Yeah.
Because Chido was breaking goal scoring records and just dominating on a level that I haven't really seen from another striker his age. But I think he's highly rated. There was some kind of rumours about United being interested in signing him, but I'm not sure if that's going to materialise. But just interesting to see him, on the opposition side, and I'm sure Chido was probably watching on. But yeah, United dominated the early stages of this one. Again, similar to the Forest game, we always tend to dominate possession. We've got such quality, especially in the midfield. Jim Thwaites was at the heart of that. I don't know how much you've watched of him, but the quality that he has in terms of
I've seen a lot of clips of him.
Yeah.
I haven't watched many full games at all, really.
Yeah, he's a player who looks great in the clips and probably looks even better when you watch a full 90 in terms of how you understand how he dictates tempo, orchestrates things from deep and moves intelligently on and off the ball to make things tick for United. So important in that midfield, and I think when he's out of the team, it's clear that United missed that quality deep in the pitch. So he was crucial to providing that kind of balance and quality early on. But it was United that had to fight from behind. West Ham did take the lead. Again, it was a kind of mistake at the back. Joel Kerr for them picked up a loose ball in the midfield, drove towards goal, and then finished into the bottom corner. So another kind of cheap one to concede, but JJ Gabriel was there to even things up for United. Of course he was. Kind of as you expect at this point. Like you mentioned earlier, he's almost scoring basically a goal a game at under 18 level. This one wasn't as spectacular of a goal. It was kind of a tap in after a cutback from Jacob Watson, who had got up on the left wing. He was played in by Daniel Armour, who did really, really well to drive up the pitch and always gets involved in possession really, really well.
I've seen this guy.
Yeah.
This is the one who people are saying looks like a Harry Maguire regen, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I have to say, someone who, again, hasn't watched many full games or seen much about him, his body, the way he sort of shapes it when he's passing, the way he runs, the way he kind of leans into his run, he does look a lot like Harry Maguire. Does he play have people said that for a long time, or have you just sort of noticed that as other people have noticed it?
No, it is almost uncanny. It's kind of hard to ignore if you've watched a lot of Harry Maguire playing. Their body mechanics, their gait in terms of how they run, they both kind of probably lack a little bit of pace, but make up for it in terms of the intelligence with which they defend, and also the courage they show on the ball to get involved in possession, playing in attackers, playing balls over the top and through the lines. There are actually a lot of similarities between them. Great box defenders as well. And the only difference really is that he's left-footed. But you couldn't be blamed watching the clips that come up on social media for thinking that Harry Maguire's dropped down to an under-18 game.
It genuinely, you sort of watch him on those kind of... The streams usually aren't the best quality anyway. The cameras are a bit lower and a bit fuzzier than they are in the Premier League. It does, at first glance, it does look like he's coming back from an injury and he's playing for the under 21s or the reserves or whatever. No, under 21s, playing for the reserves. It's bizarre how much they look like each other. Do you think is he someone that? Because in my head now, the dream is we've got two Harry Maguires playing for us at the back, one on the left, one on the right. Do you think he's at that? Obviously not that level right now, but how is he spoken about? Because I don't know much about him other than people have noticed. Usually in JJ Gabriel clips, they start off with Harry Maguire giving him the ball. How good is Dan Armour?
Yeah, so he's always been very highly regarded, adds so much quality on the ball, and also he's a big kind of physical presence, which I guess leads to some of those comparisons. He stands at about 6'3", 6'4", good in the air as well, and reads the game well, so wins the majority of his aerial duels. But yeah, I'd say he may even be more adventurous than Harry Maguire in terms of his passing. He really gets up the field, plays a lot of line-breaking passes, and that may just be symptomatic of the level he's playing against.
Yeah, because I think when Maguire was young, and it was at Sheffield United, wasn't it? He was really known for carrying the ball playing, and he still is to a certain extent, but you sort of find the level obviously gets harder and harder as you go up, don't you? So
in terms of making it at United and having his breakthrough, I wouldn't rule it out, but I think the main difficulty with him might be his pace. Okay. I think when you look at the defenders that tend to break through early, they're usually much quicker and have more kind of physical gifts in terms of being able to make that quick transition to first team football. I think he might struggle with that if he was thrown straight in. He makes up for a lot of that in terms of how smart he is reading the game. He has a lot of defensive quality, but I think he might be one that would benefit from a loan maybe at the end of the season in terms of building up his level, getting used to first team football rather than being chucked straight in, but definitely has a lot of potential to play at a high level.
I think maybe again if we don't play him straight, we could always just sell him for 80 million. Like Leicester did with Maguire. I think if we've got Maguire right here, that's 80 million.
That works. That. Yeah. You could almost trick them and just tell them that it is Harry Maguire.
That it is. We've cloned him, or we sent him back in time and got an 18-year-old Harry Maguire.
The new training ground has cloning facilities.
Yeah, we spent loads of money on the training ground, didn't we? That's what we spent it all on. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so that's 1-1. Talk to me about the rest of the game.
So after that equaliser, United were again kind of on top for the whole second half. but weren't able to find the deadlock. Weren't able to break the deadlock in regular time, and it was almost reminiscent of the game from last season because that also went to extra time. So United brought on a couple of second half, or I guess extra time substitutions in Duka and Koto and Kai Rooney, two very young but promising attacking players who were brought on to bring some energy and kind of revitalise the team, looking for a goal to take the lead. And that did eventually come through Junior Brown, again playing on the right-hand side. It was a great ball from Duka and Koto, spreading it to the right wing, and it was a fantastic finish, cutting in onto his left foot, wrapping it round into the far post and putting United 2-1 ahead. So it was a deserved lead because United had been on top throughout the whole game. West Ham are a decent side, but most of their threat came in transition on the counter-attack, and then Kai Rooney added another one. It was almost a goal you'd expect to see his dad scoring. He was played through 1v1, drove towards the goalkeeper and finished really, really calmly, right foot into the bottom right corner. A lot of confidence that's shown and quality in that goal, so really good to see. And so United are through to the final of the PL Cup at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace. I believe the date has yet to be decided for that one, but that will be the first opportunity at major silverware for the under-18s this season.
As brilliant as that is, why do they get to have the final at Selhurst Park?
Just how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
So is it's drawn out of a hat? Or
it's fairly random, I think.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't think there's much rhyme or reason to it. But
okay, great. Well, that's great. Another final. Chance to redeem themselves from last year. It was West Ham in the final, wasn't it?
West Ham in the final last time.
Chance to win it.
Club. But yeah, so that will definitely be something United are setting their sights on. Also, the FA Youth Cup semi-final against Sunderland coming up will be a big thing that United are looking towards. It's kind of getting towards that business end of the season where silverware is up for grabs, and the way that we're playing in 2026, the under-18s look right up for it. So exciting times.
Brilliant. Very exciting as always. And like I said, there's an element of we're always obsessed with how can they get in the first team, how good will they be, what will they be when they're 25. But also, like you said, it's nice to see them get into finals and getting trophies. And as someone that follows it as you do so closely, like actually getting to see these teams and these players that win trophies, that's a brilliant thing in and of itself, isn't it? Even if it's their equivalent of the Carabao or whatever. You want to see success for the team as a whole, not just always picking out this guy's going to do it and this guy's going to make it and all that. So really good to see them, pushing on three fronts still. So yeah, really exciting. Yeah,
absolutely. I think also a lot of these players know that not all of them can make it for United or even at the top level. So I think these opportunities at silverware kind of mean a lot. Winning that, even if they don't make it years onwards, they've become a part of Manchester United's legacy and history. So it's a really good thing to see. And yeah, hopefully we can get the job done.
Brilliant. Right, thank you very much, Finn. Thank you as always for coming on. Thank you for joining us at home as well. Make sure you check out Finn over on Academy Scoop on X. Put the link to that in the description as well. This has been the Academy Review. We'll see you in a bit.